Hello everyone and welcome to 2024. We are putting together the first Price Know-How Snippets of the year. I'm here with Mike Boswell, our MD, and Ian Chisnell, our polyolefins product manager. And the format will be the same as previously. Mike's going to talk about some of the macro global factors that could be affecting polymer prices. And then Ian's going to go on to talk in a little bit more detail about the specific things we see for January. So Mike, over to you.
Thanks, Katherine. Happy New Year to you all. So let's start with crude oil. Look at the comparison between November and December. So actually prices fell. The average price fell from $81.91 per barrel to 77.18, almost a $5 reduction. Similar reflection in terms of minimum price, that fell from 77.42 to 73.24, $4.18. And the maximum price recorded in November was 86.85, and that fell to 80.67 in December, so a reduction of $6.18. Put that into pound terms, the average price per ton in November was £496.43, and in December it's £459.21, a reduction of £37.22. Part of that's currency related, which I'll touch on in a moment. I know Ian's going to talk more about this, but obviously we had the situation in the Red Sea affecting shipping and shipping through the Suez Canal, and also shipping through the Panama Canal as well. But actually, oil prices have not really been affected by that. The markets haven't been spooked, which would suggest that the view is that supply and availability and storage in Western Europe and the US is adequate to meet demands, even if there are some delays in shipment. On exchange rates, actually the pound did quite well. So against the euro in November, 115, that improved to 116 in December. Against the dollar, that was more dramatic. So a bit of dollar weakness. We went from 124 to 127, and euro dollar went from 108 to 109. So it's a sort of dollar weakness of around about 2.1%. So that was going back into that impact on oil price as well. We've had monomers released already, so I'm going to hand over to Ian, who's going to take us through monomers into polymers, and I'm sure we'll also talk about shipping issues as well. Ian.
Many thanks, Mike, and Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to the challenge that is going to be 2024. So following on from the oil prices, despite the fact that oil prices overall is kind of reduced, we've not seen that pass through in terms of monomers because they've rolled over. So ethylene C2 maintained its price of 11.85 euros per ton, and propylene maintained its price of 1,050 euros per metric ton. So it stopped the recent decreases that we saw through the last few months. Although oil price dropped, monomers didn't drop because that's supply and demand because there's been a few issues with European shutdowns and shortages and some unexplained issues. So there's a little bit of a shortage, and we've seen this slightly reflected in polymers as well. So a lot of the European produced grades are tight because a lot of the European producers are not able to run at 100%. In fact, they've not been running at 100% for a very long time, but there's been more pressure because of availability of monomers in December, and that's feeding through into January as well. So as Mike sort of said, the Red Sea and global shipping, it is becoming a little bit of an issue. Obviously, in Europe, we receive a lot of sort of key commodity grades, sort of HDPE, LLDPE, some polypropylene does come from the Middle East, and it is going to be affected by some of these shipping issues. But also, as Mike said, we do have reasonable amounts of stock already in warehouses in Europe able to supply. And so some of these effects may be delayed. But I think we are seeing a little bit of a market reaction. It's very early in the month, in the year, but we are expecting some efforts at a price increase, basically because in the last 3 months of last year, all of the producers were losing a lot more than the monomer. So they're looking to regain some of the ground that they've lost. I think overall, we're probably looking at somewhere around about a rollover in terms of pricing, but we may see on certain specific grades, particularly European produced things like PP copolymer, LDPE, that we will possibly see some increases because we have a few little short-term availability glitches. And I think some people are going to be looking to take advantage of that. As ever, please keep talking to us, please keep asking questions, and we will do our best to provide you with the best information that we can. And a more detailed price know-how will be available in the middle of the month.
And just to add to Ian's comment about the price know-how for January, we'll also be doing our annual review and outlook, so you'll be able to get a full perspective on 2023 and perhaps some of our thoughts in terms of how 2024 might shape up. Katherine, over to you.
Thank you very much, Mike. Thanks, Ian. And more information will follow, as we've said. But in the meantime, thanks very much for your attention.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks, bye.